Good afternoon, all of you. Okay, so today we will be discussing about post-modulation therapy in the field of preventive diseases. Before going to discuss, we need to know that what is meant by post-modulation therapy, right? So, post-modulation therapy, in that post, all of you know that what is meant by post. Post means the organism or whatever living organism from which a parasite gets its nutrition. That we call it as a host. So host is nothing but oral cavity of a person who is affected by periodontitis. So other than this host, we need to know that what is meant by modulation. So what is meant by modulation is alteration of response or alteration of post response. The status of progression of disease will be altered by giving some medications or whatever systemically or locally delivered medications. So that we call it as a modulation. So post modulation therapy. It is not a standalone therapy. Standalone therapy means what? Not a single therapy. It is an adjunct to other periodontal treatment. Okay. So all of you know that plaque biofilm is a main positive factor for progression of initiation and progression of periodontitis. So mainly periodontal pathogens having antigens or some virulence factors, they initiate the disease. Okay. So which factors among these periodontal pathogens? Here, this is a model of progression of periodontal disease. Okay. Hello, am I audible? Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So now we are discussing about the model of disease progression. Model of disease progression means this is a model for how exactly periodontal disease progresses. So here we are seeing this first column, which is mainly named as a microbial challenge. So this microbial challenge means what? This is nothing but the periodontal pathogens, which are virulent, virulence factors. All of you know that in class we have gone through virulence factors. Virulence factors means nothing but various proteins or various enzymes with which bacteria causes disease. So it may be initiation, adherence, attachment to particular tissue, then disease progression. Okay, so that is microbial challenge. So this microbial challenge is in terms of these three things. Okay, which three things? That is first is antigens. Anyone can let me know what is mean by antigen? What is mean by antigen? What is mean by this LPS and other virulence factors? Are you awake or sleeping? Maheshwari, Pallavi, who is there? Anyone is awake?
And antigen means foreign body, like matlab.
Nimisha, antigens means foreign body. So here antigens are nothing but proteins which are present on the surface of microorganisms. Okay, on the surface of microorganisms, some proteins are present. Have you seen the structure of this microorganisms? They are having some capsule or cilia, hair-like projections are there. Some proteins are there with which they adhere to the sulcus wall. Okay, they adhere to sulcus wall or they release some proteins. Okay, so these are nothing but antigens which are present on the surface of these microorganisms with which microorganisms adhere to the gingival sulcus. Okay, so we named it as a antigens. Then what is LPS? Nimisha, what is LPS? Mayur,
Lipopolysaccharide.
very good. Who is there? Who is
Ma'am,
speaking now?
Ashwin.
Okay, Maheshwari. Very good. So LPS means what? Lipopolysaccharides. Lipopolysaccharides are endotoxins which are present inside the wall of cell or bacteria, in the wall of bacteria. So these lipopolysaccharides are also initiates post immunoinflammatory response. Other virulence factors like cilia, antenna-like structure, or any other proteins which are required for initiation of post-immunoinflammatory response. See, these antigens, lipopolysaccharide and virulence factor, they initiate this next column, that is post-immunoinflammatory response. How this post-immunoinflammatory, once this bacteria adhere, their virulence factor, it initiates this response. It initiates post-immunoinflammatory response in terms of PMNS and antibodies. Okay, so PMNS means what? Polymorphonuclear leukocytes and antibodies. So because of bacteria which are virulent factors which are present in the sulcus, post also initiates immune inflammatory response in terms of polymorphonuclear leukocyte and antibody. So polymorphonuclear leukocytes are primary decaying cells. So these cells, what they do, they are there in the circulation. They come out from the circulation in the area of bacterial violation, and they interact with microorganisms. They kill that microorganisms by secreting some proteins or antimicrobials, or they engulf that bacteria and do phagocytosis. That is the role of polymorphonuclear leukocyte. Okay. So polymorphonuclear leukocytes are the primary line of defense from the host side, and secondary line of defense, that is antibodies. Antibodies are also secreted. So these antibodies are nothing but, all of you know what is meant by antibodies. IgG, IgM, all of you know immunoglobulins. So these are the antibodies in response to these microorganisms. So this PMNS and antibodies, they also um, they are there for towards this bacterial violation. So host shows its response in terms of these two factors. At the same time, these host cells like macrophages, like monocytes, fibroblasts, they secrete cytokines, they secrete prostanoids, means prostaglandins, they secrete MMPs. MMPs means matrix metalloproteinases. Okay, so matrix metalloproteinases means what? Matrix is nothing but connective tissue matrix, which is present in the all periodontal tissue. In gingival connective tissue, this matrix is present. In periodontal ligament, matrix is present. So this connective tissue matrix is cleaved by these MMPs, matrix metalloproteinases. Prostanoids means what? Prostaglandins and cytokines. So the host cells, few of host cells like macrophages, monocytes, and other some cells, they secrete these cytokines, prostanoids, and MMPs, and initiates this connective tissue and bone metabolism. Connective tissue metabolism means what? These cytokines, they act on autocrine manner or on its own cell, and pro-inflammatory cytokines are released, which causes tissue destruction. Okay, connective tissue destruction is started because of these cytokines. Prostaglandins. Prostaglandins act on the bone and initiates bone resorption. These MMPs or collagenases, they act on connective tissue as well as bone and this initiates this connective tissue and your bone metabolism. It is seen in terms of these clinical signs of disease. When this disruption occurs, you will see clinical signs of disease. How pocket formation is there, clinical attachment loss is there, gingival bleeding is there. So clinical signs of disease will be seen when all these things happens. And along with these post immunoinflammatory response and connective tissue and bone metabolism, it is again modified by presence of some genetic risk factors as well as some environmental acquired risk factors. So these environmental factors like smoking, it what it does, if these kind of stress, smoking, genetic polymorphism like aggressive periodontitis, genetic changes are there in the chromosome. What it causes, it progresses to tissue destruction. Means tissue destruction will be progressed because of these genetic risk factors, environmental risk factors, and acquired. So because of these, you will see clinical signs of disease. All of you understand this model of disease progression?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll continue. Because this model of disease progression is very important, as we are going to act, means host modulation therapy is going to act on these factors. Okay. So this is model of disease progression. So what you have to do, this parental balance should be there. Always there should be balance in health and disease. Then only your tissue health will be good. So this tipping of any of the factor like disease, if it is more, then what will happen? The health will be shifted towards disease. So this tipping should not be there. So disease, what are factors for disease? Like risk factors or production of pro-inflammatory cytokines like interleukin 1, interleukin 6, PGA2, TNF alpha, MMPs. Then under reactivity or over reactivity of aspect of host response. What is under reactivity means what? Under reactivity means what? If your tissue is not reactive to your bacteria, whatever bacterial violation is occurring in your body, and your primary line of defense is not good, your secondary line of defense is not good, so more amount of tissue destruction will be there. That is under reactivity. And what is a overreactivity? Overreactivity means what? Exaggerated tissue response. Exaggerated tissue response means what? Once this subset of fibroblasts are there, subset means some few of the fibroblasts, few of the polymorphonuclear leukocyte. These are the subset which induces more and more tissue destruction. How? They also produces collagenase. Okay, so collagenase is produced by your own cells also in more amount if it is secreted by your own cells or by bacteria, then your tissue destruction will be more. Means tissue destruction will be more in terms of underreactivity as well as overreactivity. And poor compliance and poor plaque control if it is there. Subgingival bioburden is there. Bioburden means some total of microorganisms, virulent microorganisms which are there. So if all these factors are more in your oral cavity, your periodontal balance will shift towards disease, right? Then health, for health, you need to reduce these risk factors, expression of host-derived anti-inflammatory or protective mediators. So anti-inflammatory factors like NSAIDs, that is non-steroidal anti-inflammatory molecules are there. Then TIMPs means what? Tissue inhibitor matrix metalloproteinases, TIMPs. Then interleukin 1 RA, that is receptor antagonist for interleukin 1. Interleukin 10 and interleukin 4 are anti-inflammatory cytokines. Then post-modulatory therapy, resolution of inflammation, OHI, SRP, surgery, Means all these factors will lead towards tipping of this balance towards health. So we want towards health only. We want all these things. So two scientists were there, pedontologists were there, William and Golub. They have done a kind of studies by which they showed that few, few of the agents like some non-steroidal anti-inflammatory agents locally delivered or systemically delivered, or few of the bone-seeking agents like bisphosphonates, then few of the agents like tetracycline, doxycycline, all these kind of drugs, they have shown better response, better result in the patient, and this therapy is useful in treatment of periodontal disease. So for that purpose, so modulation, they have done modulation by using these drugs. They have done various animal trials, human trials, and ultimately they came to a conclusion. They initially they used these drugs in animals, later on in humans, and then they came to conclusion that these drugs can act as an adjunct and they modulate the host response. So modulation is defined as the alteration of function or status of something in response to stimulus or altered chemical or physical environment. Okay, so this modulation or host modulation. Host is clearly the host is the individual who harbors periodontal pathogens or pathogens. Here we know periodontal pathogens. So modulation with chemotherapeutic drugs is a promising and new adjunctive therapeutic option for management of periodontal disease. So this post-modulation concept was introduced by Williams and Goller. So they concluded that there are compelling data, means data from human trials and animal trials, that pharmacologic agents that modulate host response believed to be involved in pathogenesis of periodontal destruction may be efficacious in slowing the progression of periodontitis. Okay. So, Golub and colleagues, they discussed host modulation with tetracycline and their chemically modified analogs. The future of these authors described has arrived and better understand that this new era in disease management. So how exactly these chemically modified or chemotherapeutic agents are going to see? Again, this is our model of disease progression. Model of disease progression is that first was bacterial challenge in terms of bacterial products. Bacterial products, which bacterial products were there? Antigens like polysaccharides, okay, and other virulence factors on host cells, and they used to initiate the response from host in terms of polymorphonuclear leukocyte and antibodies. At the same time, they used to release some pro-inflammatory cytokines, prostanoids like prostaglandins, then MMPs. MMPs are nothing but matrix metalloproteinases. In another word, we call it as a collagenases. So these are some drugs like NSAIDs, that is non-steroidal anti-inflammatory agent. They act on these prostaglandins. All of you remember in your third year in medicine, NSAIDs are there in your medicine. Have you gone through non-steroidal anti-inflammatory agent?
Yes.
So what is it exactly where it acts? Any one of you remember that arachidonic acid A metabolism? It releases COX-1, COX-2, means by the enzymes, means arachidonic acid metabolites or AA is converted with the help of COX-1 and COX-2 type of enzymes into these prostaglandins. So this non-steroidal anti-inflammatory agent acts on this COX-1 and COX-2 enzymes, and they stop their action in that region. So these enzymes will be stopped, secretion of these enzymes will be stopped. So arachidonic acid, which is present in the cell wall, will not be converted into these prostaglandins. Prostaglandins are nothing but pro-inflammatory cytokines. So these prostaglandins will be stopped, or production of these prostaglandins will be stopped because of giving these non-steroidal anti-inflammatory agents. Periostat is nothing but doxycycline. This periostat is low dose doxycycline, that is 20 milligram of drug doxycycline, which is called as low dose doxycycline, sub-antimicrobial doxycycline, or periostat. Okay, SDD, LDD, low dose doxycycline, antimicrobial dose doxycycline, or this is 20 milligram tablet, which is given to the patient, and which is for longer time period. It does not have antimicrobial activity. Okay, so it does not have antimicrobial activity. It has anticollagenase activity. Anticollagenase activity means what? It acts on MMPs. MMPs are nothing but collagenases. Collagenases. When we call it as a collagen, it is collagen fiber. Collagenases means what? The enzymes which destruct these collagen fibers. That we call it as a collagenases. And this periostat act on these MMPs, and they stop production of these MMPs. Okay. Other than that, cytokines which are produced, pro-inflammatory cytokines, there are some anti-cytokine drugs are there, anti-cytokine agents are there, as well as receptor antagonist for interleukin 1 is there. So these drugs are also act on cytokines, pro-inflammatory cytokines, and reduces their production, and ultimately which acts on osteoclast. Okay, prostaglandin acts on osteoclast, cytokines they act on osteoclast. So they act on the osteoclast, and bone resorption or connective tissue breakdown will be reduced down. Actually, if these drugs are not given, what will happen? Here bone resorption will be more, connective tissue breakdown will be more, ultimately viewed as a presence of periodontal pocket, clinical attachment loss, tooth mobility, and another loss, like loss of tooth. Okay. So bacterial component plus host response component will ultimately clinical sequelae. Okay. So here these two ultimately decide the fate of that particular region. If you stop this middle part and antimicrobials along with NSAIDs, along with bisphosphonate, along with periostat, plus your non-surgical therapy or surgical therapy, will give you best results, like few animal studies and few human trials. They have shown that there is better better attachment level or attachment gain is there, and pocket reduction is there. Okay, so these are agents which we call it as a force modulatory agent. Antimicrobials, NSAIDs, periostat, bisphosphonate. Other than that, anti-cytokine drugs. So they together we call it as an anti-cytokine. Sorry, post-modulatory agent. Okay. So HMT means what? It is a treatment concept that aims to reduce the tissue destruction and stabilize or even regenerate periodontium by modifying or down-regulating destructive aspects of host response and upregulating protective or regenerative responses. Okay, keep this thing in mind that it upregulates protective or regenerative responses. It is not a standalone therapy. It should be done along with SRP or surgery, whatever is there. Okay. So your treatment should be there. It is adjunctive. Adjunctive means in additional to conventional therapy. Okay. Now we'll go to directly to the drug, that is NSAID. See here, mechanical treatment SRT along with antimicrobial agent. Antimicrobial agents can be delivered locally or given systemically. Then anti-cytokine drugs can be given for MMPs, SDD or CMT. Here CMT means chemically modified tetracycline. Bisphosphonates are nothing but growth-seeking agent which act on connective tissue and which lead to this decreasing clinical signs of disease. So non-steroidal anti-inflammatory agent, in that COX-1 inhibitors or COX-2 inhibitors are there. So COX-1 here we'll see some drugs, COX-1 and COX-2, selective and non-selective. All of you remember some these kind of terminologies were there. Non-selective, that is COX-1, which inhibits both COX-2 and COX-1. And selective means it inhibits COX-2. Okay, so these AA metabolites, they can be used local application like gel form, zero, whatever gel form is there. NSAIDs, which drugs comes under NSAIDs? Anyone of you?
Ibuprofen, diclofenac.
Very
Ketorolac.
good. Yes, very good. So there is a classification separate. All of you remember classification indomethacin. Then few drugs are there like selective COX-1 and COX-2. In that again different classes were there. In COX-2 inhibitors there were what which drugs were there? Rabiprazole. Any one of
Celecoxib.
very good. Celecoxib is there. Rofecoxib is there. Flurbicoxib is there.
Diclofenac.
Diclofenac is there, but still it doesn't come directly under, I think, class COX-2 inhibitors. Maybe they're in COX-1 inhibitors. So in COX-1 inhibitors, various drugs are there which act on the prostaglandins, thromboxane. So what was there? These drugs patient has to take for longer time period. So non-selective drugs may cause some mucosal. What is drawback or what is disadvantage of using these drugs for longer time period? Anyone of you? Most of the times you can observe patients saying after taking NSAID, I feel acidity or acidity. So ulceration, peptic ulcer or whatever ulceration, gastrointestinal ulcerations are more common by taking these drugs. So that is the main drawback of taking non-selective this NSAIDs. Okay, then lipoxins or endogenous modulators, these are also there, prostaglandins along with lipoxin. So lipoxinases are also there. The drawback of taking these drugs, just now I have told you that ulceration, gastric ulceration is there, gastric response is not good towards these long-term taking these drugs. And flurbiprofen is a drug on which studies were carried out. They have given for 3 months. Patient has to take twice a day, and which leads to when these drugs it was taken for 3 months, there was reduction in pocket depth and gain in clinical attachment loss was seen. But when this drug was stopped after 3 months, the destruction of tissue was rebound. Means, this phenomenon was called as rebound effect. Destruction was more rapid. So we call it as a rebound effect. So flurbiprofen studies are there on flurbiprofen. Okay. So COX-2 inhibitors are also not given because of some other disadvantages like it acts on the heart or some heart problem was initiated due to taking these drugs. So NSAIDs, there is not a single drug which is FDA approved. FDA approved means what? Food and Drug Association. FDA, which gives approval to that drug. But in this post-modulation therapy, only a single drug which is there, systemically delivered, which is approved by FDA is Periostat. Periostat is a Sub-antimicrobial dose doxycycline or low-dose doxycycline will go directly to that. Okay, that is a 20 milligram dose doxycycline that is approved, and adjunct to SRP in treatment of chronic periodontitis. Can be taken twice daily for 3 months or can be taken extended up to 9 months. Okay,